Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm joined by Richard and Paul, our resident experts, and today we're going to talk about how feeding a rumen-protected fat can help mitigate methane emissions and the launch of our new product, Megafat 70. I'll hand over to you, to Richard, to introduce yourself.
Oh, hello. I'm Richard, and I'm Global Technical Manager here at Volac Wilmar. So, main interest is in rumen-protected fats business and everything we can do to make the most use of those types of products within ruminant rations.
So my
Thank you,
name is
Richard.
Paul Fransen, Technical Business Manager for Volac for feed additives and fats in Europe.
And I'll be your host today. My name's Laura Steeden, and I'm the Feed Fat Product Manager for Volac Wilmar. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to have a chat today with Paul and Richard, and if you've any questions or comments, please pop them in the comments box and we'll come back to them. If we don't get time to come back to all of the questions, we'll be doing follow-ups.
Good. So methane, Richard, interesting topic. I'm not sure I ever told you, but literally where I'm sitting today, I'm literally sitting on one of the largest methane natural gas reserves in the world, the Slochteren area. You may have heard of it. So methane can be a problem or can be a challenge, as we discussed today. But sometimes I'm actually heating my house today with methane, which I'm happy we've got. Otherwise, we would be too bloody cold.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those. Well, it's obviously one of those highly topical subjects, and okay, it has a great use from those perspectives. But from the environmental perspective, obviously that's our main interest, and in terms of the challenges for the dairy industry, that really is a very hot topic, and really what we've been looking at over recent years, in the business that we're involved with, is trying to work out, is there a way that we can really contribute to reducing the methane production on farms that farmers are under so much pressure to reduce. So it's a really big area and quite an exciting area actually that we're involved in.
Yeah, definitely interesting. You also see the kind of discussions we're having. So, what kind of questions do you typically get actually at the moment on methane? Is it more from feed industry, dairy processors, farmers, or?
I think I suppose the main pressure at the minute is really coming from uh, R&D side, in terms of what products are available, or what type of products are available that farmers can be used at farm level to help farmers reduce methane from their herds. And that's really where we would fit in. There are so many additives out there at the minute, and some of them have got a lot of press recently, particularly in the UK. And it's really, can we contribute in our business, and in terms of the aspect of nutrition that we're involved in, are we able to contribute to that reduction in methane, which will, ultimately help farmers? That's really the key, and that's probably the same in your regions, and I think
Yeah,
probably
correct.
globally as well. That's really a global challenge.
Yeah, and that's also really interesting to see those development of these tier three models, and they'll actually take also into the equation what's happening in the room, in terms of methane emissions as well. So it's good to get the data gathered together. And one thing I think we just have to keep reminding to people that fats and oils, many people see them as one thing, and obviously you can feel liquid oil, but I think we also have to keep repeating the message that liquid oils, yes, they do reduce methane emissions, also because they're actually reducing the efficiency of the fermentation in the rumen. So cows will have a lower production because of this bad effect of liquid oil. So just keep repeating it. And I guess you got the same thing, isn't it? A lot of people still think it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is one of the key messages, as you say. Certainly, if we use liquid oils, we can reduce methane, but it comes with those negative effects and fiber digestibility in a rumen, and particularly in terms of milk fat depression that you would see when you're using lots of veg oils, for example. So, I think what we're looking at, we're looking at rumen-protected fats. They're over 40 years old at this stage already, and we're looking at some new areas that in nutrition that haven't really been studied in detail before. And the work that we've been involved with over at Cornell University in the USA, now published data has shown quite clearly when we add different types of rumen-protected fats in diets and we feed increasing levels of rumen-protected fats, we see a very clear reduction in methane, whether that's on a grams per day basis or grams per kilogram dry matter intake or grams per litre of milk. So really strong results coming through there, quite exciting, and tie that in with some of the other research data that we're involved in over in your own territory in the Netherlands. Yeah, it's really, I think there's quite an area of data coming through on that subject, very new data, so it's really quite exciting.
True. Yeah, what I really like about the trials that are done at the dairy campus in Leeuwarden, at Wageningen University, is also just comparing different strategies, but also a combination of feed strategies. So really also trying to understand this better also how they interact with each other, so you get a much more robust model that your farmers can use to advise themselves in terms of reducing their methane emissions. And also interesting to see those financial incentives from either dairy processors or from countries or governments, that the farmers are really getting, let's say, financially a bonus to reduce their methane emission, as well as nitrogen emission, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. It's certainly key that I think we're looking at different things then with the rumen-protected fats, because with the rumen-protected fats, obviously farmers are using those for productivity benefits, whether that be milk yield or milk fat improvements or improving fertility or body condition score. And what we're really looking at, which is quite unique really when we're looking in this whole area of methane mitigation, can we, can a farmer benefit additionally from a reduction in methane by using these supplements, which you're adding fat in it, which is in itself a fairly essential nutrient in a ration, to also reduce methane. And we've seen, if just go back to the Cornell data, we've seen reductions in methane on a grams per day basis of about 7%. And when you take that through to the reductions per unit of milk production, you're actually looking at reductions recorded there of over 15%. So you're really getting into fairly substantial reductions, really effective methodologies of reducing methane, as well as getting those productivity benefits, which is what the farmer is originally buying the product for. So I think it's really exciting when we tie that, the data from those US studies, and we tie it into the European data, as you've mentioned there, from Wageningen University, coming through as well. We have to wait and see what those final results are, and other data that will be done on farm in the UK with the department systems of recording and testing that's going to be implemented on UK farms in 2025. That will add a really exciting extension to that as well. Do these things actually work on a practical farm level?
True. Yeah. Do you actually think, Rich, because obviously the golden standard is these climate restoration chambers here, or calorimetrics, or whatever name we use for them. I think in practice and research, we see a lot more green feed stations. So do you know if there's any other developments in terms of measuring methane emissions, also on a dairy farm, or are these two still the two standards, let's say, to use in practice and for research?
Yeah, I think there'll still be, there's certainly going to be, as you say, a gold standard and a more widespread use, I suppose, with the green feed type system. Is more portable, and you can do it on farm. Obviously, there are other systems like the SF6 technique and things like that, but certainly green feed is the one that we've been involved when in terms of the R&D that's been going on. But the early data on methane, which in the US quite some time ago, that was done in the respiration chambers, but those are quite limited in terms of volume or number of cows you can actually get through. So green feed has really brought a great deal of flexibility into being able to record methane. So yeah, really opened the doors to bringing these things onto farm level measurement, which is really exciting.
It's funny you say that, Rich, because it also pops up in my mind as well as some publications on, let's say, using the strategies on cows that are grazing. Obviously, then you do get a bit of bigger challenge, isn't it? In terms of either feed additives or feed it in a concentrate, in terms of what's going to be effective. And the nice thing is, with the green feed, you can see it measured also in grazing stations or grazing systems.
Yeah, it is that practical application of being able to work out does an additive or a different type of diet actually work in practice? Does it work in farm level? Does it work in these different feeding systems? So really important. And as we develop into these new rumen protected fats, the likes of the Megafat 70, really important that we're able to prove that those new formulations that we're bringing in will have similar effects. So if we go back to the Cornell data again, in that study we had 2 contrasting rumen protected fats, and regardless of type of fat, we saw these significant reductions in methane. So that's quite exciting in terms of practicalities, because it does indicate, if we bring in a real rumen protected fat, we can have a benefit regardless of the actual composition of that fat.
Yeah, good, nice stuff. Yeah. So Laura, is this enough about methane? I think your microphone is switched off, Laura. You're on mute. Yeah.
How embarrassing. Yeah, I think that's a nice segue into the chat about Megafat 70 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I think
How
before we talk really about Megafat 70, is that we sometimes get funny questions. So only a few months ago, I got a question from a dairy farmer in the south of the Netherlands who was really eager to put all the fat that he requires for his cows in a concentrate, and they will only feed, let's say, maximum 2 kilograms a day.
Mm-hmm.
That still is a bit challenging, but also shows you what individual farmers are doing. In this case, a farmer really want to push his milk fat percentage by doing it as concentrated as possible by using different concentrates in this milking robot. Interesting stuff. And actually, for those kind of farmers, it's really the Megafat 70 really ticks the boxes a lot better than other fats, because it gives you the highest content of C16 in your pelleted concentrate. So it's not magic in terms of being able to have a product with 50% fat, but certainly 2 to 2.5 times more palmitic acid in the concentrate than people could do before.
So would you say in that case Megafat 70 is fairly unique currently?
Definitely, yes. And also the feedback from the feed mills where we've tested it, either with just single pelleting or double pelleting, or using a boa compactor, for example, or other techniques for conditioning or before the final pelleting happens. In all those cases, we see that you can use 2 to 2.5 times more of the fat supplement in your pelleted feed, and still maintaining a right pellet durability. So not too much fines, because with too much fines, especially with robotic milking, it's definitely a problem if you've got too many fines, because the cow doesn't have enough time to eat all the feed in the 7 or 8 minutes that the milking takes. So
and we've got the research to prove that. Sorry, Paul. We've got the research to prove that as well, haven't we?
Oh, definitely. We've got the numbers on that one, and also the advice that goes with it. Because pelleting is nearly every feed mill, let's say, has their own pelleting conditions and pelleting experience, and it's a bit of an art to be able to, let's say, use the right, let's say, steering mechanisms to have a good product with a good durability and the right pellet hardness. But in all cases, let's say a calcium salt with an extreme high melting point, let's say over 130 degrees. We actually talk about melting points for calcium salt. That really helps, because within the pelleting, the temperature never gets above, let's say, 90 or 100 degrees centigrade. So the calcium salts don't melt, which other fats do.
Yeah, really important that, Paul, just highlighting the practical implications of different types of fats, which is where the Megafat 70, one of the key targets for that will be, because when we're looking at rumen protected fats, we're interested in the fatty acid profile. Obviously will normally be the number one aspect, and the Megafat 70, say with 70% C16, is that real milk fat booster, but it does pose those challenges to feed mills. But then in combination with that, we've got that 70% C16, but I think the real unique bit of that, we've got that 20% oleic acid in that mix in calcium salt form. So that gives us that rumen protection to get that oleic acid through the rumen. So really important there, I think, when you're looking at, dealing with customers. Okay, we've got palmitic acid there, but that oleic acid is really well researched now in terms of the effects it has nutritionally, isn't it, really? And the discussion you have with customers, what's the benefit of having that palmitic and that oleic blend?
True. Yeah, but I must say one thing which I still see in practice that we have to keep reminding is that C81 has to be in a calcium salt form with a good particle size. They have to be rumen protected, and just keep keep giving back that message. If I just look at our portfolio of fats, we've got a whole range. We've got these 7 little, let's say, samples here of our products, and only C18-1 in the calcium salt is really rumen protected. So I think we just have to keep repeating that story, and not like all C18-1 is not equal. There's a difference. Some 18-1s are better than other 18-1s. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what you're really emphasising is the need to get that C18-1 through the rumen, avoid that biohydrogenation effect, which would otherwise happen if we don't supply that in rumen protected form, because we really need that. It's a very metabolically, biologically active fatty acid, and we need to get that through the rumen, get it into the small intestine, so it can be absorbed in that metabolically active form, because really critical and a really good balance in that formulation for megafat 70. Yes, we want to stimulate milk fat, but as we know, there are limitations and some drawbacks to high palmitic products, as we know, and that 20% oleic acid that we're able to deliver through the megafat 70 product really brings those other benefits, doesn't it, really, in terms of the offering that we have to customers. Yes, we have a milk fat boost response, but we also have that oleic acid in there to help with the body condition and to help with fat digestibility and energy supply and help with cow fertility and things like that. So I think from that perspective, when we're working on the development of this product, we're really going back to, well, especially the more recent data from the Michigan State labs in particular, looking at the effects of these different blends of palmitic and oleic and what they do individually and what they do when we put them in blends. So it's been a really interesting project to work on, and bringing an actual formulation like that into really research proven and why you do these things and what's the benefit of them, and really bringing that into practice and launching it as we did at Eurotier. So, and a lot of interest generated really from, well, quite a global audience, wasn't there, really, at that event for a new offering?
Yeah, it's really nice to fill that gap and get really close to a high palmitic standard product, but then in the calcium salt form, that really gives the advantage on the things you just said. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. So, Laura, from my understanding, because you're a product manager, you will know that, but in terms of supply to Europe, so where are we actually getting it from? From which factories?
There's a couple of factories that we can get it from. We can get it from one of our European factories, and we can also get it from one of our Asian factories.
Oh, okay. So secure supply as well, then.
Secure supply, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry to stop you there, guys, but we're just about out of time. We haven't had time to get to any questions, I'm afraid, but we can do a wrap up later for all the questions that have come through and any that come in afterwards. Is there any summary you'd like to give our audience with key takeaways before we finish?
Yeah, you want to go first, Richard?
Well, okay. I mean, I think the main things are, I mean, the two topics are really topical at the minute that we've had during this session. I think this whole methane area is only one that's obviously going to develop, and it's really exciting to be involved in brand new R&D work at key research sites and bringing data forward that can be used practically by nutritionists and ultimately to help the farmer. And bringing in new offerings based on R&D to provide offerings at farm level, how we can feed the most suitable supplements for what a farmer is trying to achieve. So I think that for me is probably the key takeaways, and Paul might have something different too.
No, we fully agree. And what I also like, Leslie, we also got a lot of data, not only from research side, but also from applying the stuff. For example, on the pelleting bits, also try to make it as practical as possible for farmers and feed mills to actually use the knowledge and use the R&D that we've got available.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's all we've got time for today. But if anyone would like to have or would like to research some more information on any of our product range, you can go to www.megalac.com. So we'll leave it there. Till next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.